KMTV Action 3 News live at 10 starts now with a winter weather alert.
Round 2 is bearing down on Nebraska tonight. Heavy snow is headed our way. It will likely pummel Omaha during the morning rush hour.
We have team coverage tonight. Reporter Kelly Bartnick is live with what to expect on the snow-covered roads tomorrow morning.
First, let's get to the expert. Meteorologist Jim Flowers tells us what to expect and when. Jim.
Craig, we do have a winter weather advisory that has been posted for most of the area that kicks in about 2 a.m. It encompasses most of southeastern Nebraska, southwestern Iowa, and we could see winds pick up during that morning drive to 20 to 35 miles an hour. Viper HD is picking up, and this is all snow, some of it moderate intensity between North Platte and Valentine. You can see the stripe kind of developing along the Platte River toward the metro. In terms of amounts, still looks like 2 to 4 for Omaha, but there will be a stripe very close to us, maybe only a county off to the south of locally 5, maybe even as much as 6 inches from midway between Columbus and York, right across northern Lancaster County, possibly into Sarpy and Cass County, and then into Mills County, Iowa. The snow between about 6 and 9 a.m. is going to snow at the rate of 1 to possibly 2 inches an hour. So that is really going to wreak some problems for the morning drive, and I'll have more on the timeline. That is coming up.
City crews are prepping roads for the snow, and school districts are keeping watch. Millard Superintendent Jim Sutphin says he will wait until the early morning to decide. Other districts are doing the same. Reporter Kelly Bartnick is live near I-80. He breaks down the plan to clear the roads. Kelly?
Jenny, we've been outside much of the day here off and on, and I can tell you the main difference now between just a few hours ago is the temperature. Things have really dipped, which you'd expect here when the sun goes down. We're also feeling just a little bit more wind here blowing. Now, we are along I-80, as you mentioned. If you take a look, you can see traffic still flowing pretty freely there. The roads are dry, most of the major streets and roads through town, but anything with a little bit of water on them is going to freeze tonight. City crews are still digging out from the weekend storm. There's potential that that will all stop here as the snow falls in the morning. That's when they plan to go back to those major roads just to keep them clear. Now, right now, Omaha street crews are in a holding pattern, they tell us, waiting for all of this snow to fall. Street maintenance engineer Scott McIntyre says they'll work to pre-treat major roads, hopefully to help them get ahead of the snow removal process. The city has been through just about every neighborhood since the snow fell over the weekend. Some streets, though, are still clogged just a little bit, especially with some heavy wet snow. They plan to have most neighborhoods clear, but the snow that falls early tomorrow will extend this snow recovery.
We send crews into areas, into their assigned routes, and they'll do the best they can, and we'll get whatever removal we're going to get under the conditions that exist at the time we start plowing.
McIntyre says the storms that peak during morning or afternoon rush hour add an extra element of stress and even urgency to snowplow drivers who are out in the middle of all of those cars. He says the best thing about the potential for this to hit in the morning is that means you, when you look out the window, have the capability to decide to maybe stay home for a few hours or stay home at all, depending on just how much snow does fall. Now, but again, the city wants to stress they are prepared and they will be out there pre-treating roads tonight. They'll also hit the streets with the plows early in the morning, first thing. Reporting live tonight along I-80, Kelly Bartnick, KMTV Action 3 News.
All right, Kelly, good information. Timing will be key. In the aftermath of the weekend snowstorm, drivers had a tough time on the roads this morning. Crashes shut down traffic on highways across the Omaha area, including this one across the river on Highway 6 in Council Bluffs. Slick roads caused more than 24 accidents in Omaha. Douglas County 911 says between 6:30 and 9:30 a.m. dispatchers took almost 30 accident calls.
Ryan and Matt will be watching the weather, keeping you safe tomorrow morning on Early Riser, beginning at 4:30 a.m. You can also find current conditions 24 hours a day on our website, KMTV.com.
Tonight, insult to injury. An Omaha family is already dealing with a difficult diagnosis for a loved one. And now somebody has stolen precious memories. They want everybody to be on the lookout for one specific iPhone. Reporter Megan Matthews is live with this story you'll see only on 3 tonight. Megan.
Greg, the phone was stolen when Debbie Stecker went out to eat at the Village Inn on Saddle Creek Friday night. On it, voicemails from her dying husband left behind for his family.
He was a pastor and a singer and a comedian. And so
it's easy for Rachel and Debbie Stecker to laugh about the good times they've had with a loving father and husband. Lately, though, a smile is much harder to come by.
We grieved the news, we grieved his diagnosis, and we'll grieve his loss. But we are not going to spend our days grieving his days here on earth.
Kurt Stecker has weeks, maybe even days left to live. Cancer has spread all over his body.
The longer he's that way, the harder it is to remember the way he was, which is kind of a bigger than life kind of personality.
Seeing Kurt after he's gone is simple enough. Debbie's got 35 years worth of moments captured in photos. It's Kurt's voice she may not be able to hear again.
Those are things in the months to come that could offer us some comfort, and they took that from us. So.
Debbie's been saving voicemails on her phone from her husband to listen to after he passes. In tears on her couch, she doesn't know why someone would steal it.
But this makes me angry because this is something I will never get back. They've just stolen a chunk of my life that I will never get back.
Videos and texts, the everyday I love yous and see you laters are gone.
And he wasn't imparting words of wisdom, it was just every day.
That stuff we won't get.
The Steckers hope whoever has the phone will return it. To them, it's worth much more than a pawn shop price. Rachel knows what her dad would do.
He would say, if you brought it back, I'll let you go. There'll be no charges, and I'll forgive you. And I am fully prepared to do that, to forgive.
The Stecker family did back up some of their photos on the iCloud, but the voicemails from the phone have been deleted. They've contacted their service provider to try and retrieve them, but that's not a guarantee. Live in the studio tonight, Megan Matthews, KMTV Action 3 News.
You just feel for that family. Thanks, Megan. Justice for Peyton Benson, the little girl murdered while eating her breakfast. Today, convictions for 3 more men. Jacob Brown and Adonis Moses both pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit murder. Kevin Peak pleaded guilty to a gun charge. Just last Thursday, Vincent Hicks pleaded no contest to murder. And last Tuesday, Jalen Montgomery pleaded guilty to a gun charge. Douglas County Attorney Don Klein says the emotions behind the little girl's death brought everyone together.
It was horrific, tragic, hard words to describe this little child being murdered in this manner.
Investigators say all the men except Peak shot at somebody believed to be a rival gang member near 45th and Bedford last January. One of those bullets hit Peyton while she sat inside her home.
State lawmakers have compromised a bit. They're advancing a bill to raise the cost of getting married. The unicameral gave first-round approval today to a plan to make the fee for a marriage license $25. That's half than the original proposal. The reduction comes after several days of delays by State Senator Ernie Chambers, who you see here, who calls it an unfair tax hike.
Thieves are on the prowl at area Walgreens. Here's a look at the holdups within the past 3 months. They're all over town. Now, we don't know if the robberies and attempted robberies are related. There have been 8 in the past 72 days. The last stop last night at 50th and Center. Omaha police say a guy walked into Walgreens around 10:30 and robbed a clerk at gunpoint. The thief grabbed the cash and ran out, headed north. So far, investigators have not arrested anyone.
A domestic violence victim came to Omaha to get away from her attacker, but he followed her here and ultimately killed her. Now, Robert Grant will spend the rest of his life in prison. This guy right here. In October, a jury convicted Grant of murdering his former girlfriend, Trudy McKee, who you see here on the left, at her apartment in southwest Omaha. Grant followed McKee to Omaha from Wichita. He stabbed her more than 40 times and left behind his bloody clothes. McKee's family was here for the sentencing.
It's pretty hard to lose any child, but the way we lost Trudy was just extremely terrible.
Trudy McKee was a nurse. She leaves behind a daughter who found her dead when she came home from school.
Now to the latest on the fight over Western Iowa Fire Department. The Shelby City Council will discuss the status of its volunteer fire department tonight. City officials say the department now has 14 members. That includes 3 former members and the fire chief who withdrew his resignation. Last week, the City Council suspended 11 members of the department after a battle over who controls the department's fundraiser money. City leaders say they hope to expand the department to 25 members soon.
The Omaha Public Power District will start at square one in hiring a new CEO after complaints that the board conducted a secret search. Last week, the Omaha World-Herald threatened to sue the utility after the board interviewed 4 finalists for the CEO job in private and refused to release the names. The board selected OPPD Vice President Tim Burke. Critics cried foul. Now Burke and any other candidates must reapply. The board will publicize the finalists and have a public forum.
Well, the problem is the timing of this storm.